Hello. It is Wednesday. Somebody said something like it was day 39. I don't know when you took shelter. I don't know when you agreed and how radical it was when you first started committing to isolating yourself. But it feels like 39 days. I don't know, that's an amazing reality for me. So if you were here in the beginning, I was going to try to sit in a different chair today. Yeah, it didn't work. So here I am back in the familiar corner where we usually meet. And so this would be a time I would say, so what's happening with you? I don't know, it's a beautiful day, but it's windy. And with each day, the reality of things that are happening come to us in waves. We're in the middle of a pandemic, global pandemic. It's still hard to get our minds wrapped around that. Mine. But life, I was fascinated years ago to learn that psychologists studying human beings, it's tough because it's us studying us, and that's never a good thing, but as much as we can learn about ourselves, one of the things that we've learned is that we are enormously complex creatures. Enormously complex. Our motivations and our actions and our thoughts and feelings and complexity is us. But when life comes at us, things come at us that are not good, things that are hurtful, that are painful, things that leave us with, I don't know, wounds. You can't see them, and sometimes you can see them. Our psyche, our self, is designed with a protection. It's designed with a wall of protection. In the computer, they talk about firewalls. They use it in political campaigns a lot too. Every human being has, you don't control it, but there is a self-preservation that's built into us as creatures. And it's tricky. It's very tricky. When you're presented with something that is more than you can take in, more than you can handle, and we do use those phrases, but there are these things that happen. A bomb goes off right next to you, and people die, and it takes the complexity of the human being is that some decision is made in the survival mechanism of us as human beings, and a firewall is put up that says, even if that's happening, I can't take it in. It's not safe for me to take that in right now. I can't compute. When soldiers are subjected to trauma, a lot of this we learn through trauma studies. There's a firewall that protects the victim of the trauma from actually processing what's happening. The five senses are stopped until you get through, so you can survive. And then, interestingly enough, at some later time, a decision is made inside the complexity of the person that now, just now, finally, it feels safe enough to unpack what I couldn't take in then. Isn't it marvelous? It's marvelous. And it, I mean, I first learned about it in a terrible circumstance. I was doing a ministry working with survivors of sex abuse. Adult survivors of sex abuse when they were children. And what I learned was that this protection, this firewall that shuts down the receptors when what's happening is terrible, is horrible, that it will shut off the sense of smell. It will shut off the sense of sight. It will shut off the sounds that are all associated with the trauma. And the way it was explained to me was that that sensory input are packed up into a little bubble, if you will. And they're tucked away. They're tucked away for another time. And then at another time when it is safe, when the complex being says, okay, we can deal with it. That's how we thought we can deal with it now. That bubble of experiences comes floating back into the conscious. Sometimes it comes in a dream that isn't really a dream. It's a dream, but it's a memory. It's okay, we're going to go there now. And the fascinating part for me is the bubble can sometimes release that experience in a smell that does not find its origin in the room, but a smell that was associated. Maybe it's the smell of the smoke of the bomb, or the cologne from the person that was, hurting you. And the really, it's my allergies. The really amazing thing to me is that there's an internal sense of safety that controls it. Is this a safe place? Are you safe? And if you are, then the rest of what you need to know about what's happening can then become obvious to you. I think about that part when I think about what's happening to us. Us. Me, yes, there's plenty. And you, some of you. Amazing. The events that are getting piled on top of each other. The virus and the death from the virus. And then I've learned of my first experience of someone who died because the hospitals were full and they died. And the sadness and the trauma that comes from that. And the weirdness that some families are being subjected to, but the earner, the wage earner, goes out into the environment of the infection to earn the money to come home to keep their family alive. And this whole conversation that's going on in the middle of the chaoticness of our lives about, do we give up some lives so that we can save some lives? Who's making these triage decisions? I really want to be past this time. I do. I want it to be over. I want to be back together with you. I was thinking the other day that one of the side effects, I think, of our isolation, there's a lot of good things happening in it, but one of the side effects, I think, is that I haven't had a chance to meet any new people. It's part of the life of our church. It's most exciting is that we're constantly, people just show up. I don't know where they come from. And sometimes by God's grace, they like it. They come, they stay. They become part of our life. But I don't know, maybe some of you watching this are new. You've never met me in person. I've never met you in person. I don't know if that's happening or not. But in all of this, I want this to be over. Because I know that some of what's going on is that my own filters, my own screens are up. My self-protective devices are at work. I can't take it all in. I can't take it in for the children in difficult places in Patterson and in other cities that I know of who live on a margin of life's viability anyway. And I know we'll hear more, we will hear more, we'll know more of the chaos that this virus has brought upon us. We'll read books about it. But right now, our own survival has a firewall up. And I'm hoping that through prayer, that we can pray over the wall. We can pray into circumstances that we don't know about yet. Things that are unfortunate and horrible consequences of the kind of breakdown of our systems of caring for each other and of nations in relationship to each other and of our relationships to nature. This is Earth Day. Earth Day. And sometimes I think it's a good thing that we have these firewalls that keep us from seeing and knowing everything that's going on. But on Earth Day, I really hope some of that comes down and that we take a good look at the earth. We see as much as our eyes are able to see. What was the song? Doctor, my eyes have seen the tears and the slow parade of fear in the years without crying. Hope that our eyes can see. Maybe the virus has to be further past us. But when it goes and as it goes, and as we're in safe places and we can talk and we can learn and we can study, my prayer is that the self-protectiveness of our denial will fall and that we will engage in a prayerful knowing. A prayerful knowing of each other, of life, of the earth and all of its beauty and its tender balances. So that's what I was thinking. Praying over the firewall. I can't take it in. I can't take in everything. I can't hear all the stories that I want to hear. I read the papers and I know the struggles, but for now I pray for the strength for you and for me for this moment. I pray that our internal senses will continue to bring us to places where our knowingness of all of this will grow. And we will be able to say to the ancestors, to the descendants, because we've kept our eyes open, and when it was safe, we learned everything that we needed to know about what really happened here, and how it happened. You know, We've come to an anniversary of the Holocaust, and I'm still aware that we're only still really able to take in part of that for our own protection or preservation, I guess. So I wonder if you'll pray with me. This Wednesday, it's Earth Day. Pray for new vision. Pray for the continuation of that firewall of hope and health that needs to protect us, but that it also will allow us, when we can and when we're ready, to know everything we need to know and to respond in care and compassion and in actions changed in this world. For my friends in the circumstances on the prayer wall, growing this week, growing with some now who have COVID, some are waiting to hear the results, and some more who've died. Lord, shepherd us. Let your staff, your rod and your staff, defend us and protect us. Lead us to green pastures, to still waters, so that our souls can drink. And in the recovery, whatever it is that we feel, that we might see more, and that our eyes, the scales of our eyes would fall away, and we'd see the world the way you see it, and that we would not be overcome, but that we would see just enough, and know just enough, and hear just enough to release in us compassion and action and changes that need to be made. That's what it means, Ben, is to give you glory, to give it to you, God. We are just sheep, but sheep that seek to follow your voice. Lead us, O God. Amen. Time is relative. It's this long and it's this long. Every time I do this with you, the time just gets shorter and shorter and shorter. I hope today finds you well. It's cold and windy, but it's bright and holds a lot of promise, along with a lot of sadness. So God bless you and keep you until I see you tomorrow. Bye.